It's race 2 of the weekend at Imola for the Formula Renault Eurocup, the category celebrating its 50th season. And then, as now, it unearths future Formula 1 stars, Formula 1 world champions, and delivers great racing. David Addison looking down at the grid, which is assembling based on qualifying set this morning. And we had one race yesterday, standalone qualifying sessions for each of these two 30-minute plus 1 lap races. Everybody, of course, with the same chassis. They are Tatius built, but Renault badged. They've got turbocharged 4-cylinder 1800cc engines, 270 brake horsepower they will kick out, and 6-speed gearboxes from cars that weigh 611 kilos. Now, the race set to get underway very shortly. Tarek outside of Renault Sport is down on the grid, looking at the prospects for this race, and with him is Gemma Scott.
Tarek, we're finally well and truly underway for the Renault Eurocup season, and these boys are all very, very hungry.
Oh yes, they are. You're right, they are. We are at the 4th race now. They're starting. We already had 3 races, 3 race winners, and 4 qualifying, 4 different polemen. So we see that the rookies are pretty much here. They're really, really hungry for the win. So this is going to be a pretty good race.
Who should we be looking out for today?
Well, of course, William, who's starting on pole, but we have David Vidales and, of course, Caio Collet, who's one of the favorites. So they're all going to be there. It should be a pretty interesting race.
Tarek, thank you very much.
Thank you.
So Tarek Arsai walks away, and there on the grid you have the pole-sitting car, William Alatallo, the Finnish driver, at the wheel of this car for JD Motorsport. William Alatallo, the next, if you like, in the line of flying Finns. He was very good in testing earlier on in the week, but the teams had a lot of dry running early in the week. Then on Friday, a lot of heavy rain, and David Vidales here was the man that was quickest at the end of the Friday times, but that also cleaned the track, so all the rubber they put down disappeared, and they had to reset for qualifying on Saturday. William Alatallo moving up from the Italian Formula 4 Championship. David Vidales, though, here made a very impressive debut yesterday, because it was his first race in the championship, his first race in a car, and he got pole and the fastest lap and won the race. It was mightily impressive, and he will start then second on the grid and might even be able to do the double on his maiden weekend. Let's have a walk up the grid, because William Alatallo is the man on pole. We've just seen him. There is David Vidales for JD Motorsport lining up alongside the 2 teammates then on row 1, different liveries to reflect their sponsors. Caio Collet lining up on the second row of the grid. He is the championship leader with a win, a second and a third across the 3 races thus far, and having had a pole position in one of the 2 Monza races. Alex Quinn, the Brit, is 4th on the grid in the black car for Arden, Arden-like colours, but it is run by Gary Horner's team. Then you've got 5th on the grid, Victor Martins, driving for the ART Grand Prix team, and there for MP Motorsport, Franco Colapinto, who was the other with Caio Collet, a winner at Monza. Ugo de Wilde was a winner at Monza last year. He drives for Arden. There he is, number 27. Paul Aron is the younger brother of former Formula 3 front runner Ralph Aron. He was in the gravel at the end of yesterday's race that was twice affected by safety cars. Then you have number 93, Gregoire Sosi, who went off the road on the opening lap and dropped down yesterday. Petr Potacek starts 10th. He was in the gravel and out of the race yesterday. He was the first safety car trigger. Number 2 is Jonathan Hargaard, last year's BRDC Aston Martin Young Driver of the Year award winner, and Lorenzo Colombo, back for a second season for Bitec, lines up alongside him. 52 there is Nicola Marinangeli, who was in the gravel and out again yesterday, and Tymon van der Helm, graduating to Formula Renault this year for the FA Racing team. Teammate Amaury Cordial next on the grid ahead of Resha de Geras, Joey Alders, who's been in all sorts of mechanical strife this weekend thus far. Hadrian David, Michael Belov and Laszlo Toth complete the grid. That is how they line up. It'll be a standing start, of course, so under the cloudless skies, hot temperatures here, the cars get away, they'll do 1 lap, reform on the grid, and then we'll be in business. It is 30 minutes plus a lap. As I say, yesterday we had a couple of safety car periods. The estimate without safety cars is that we should be looking at 17 racing laps, but it might even turn out to be plenty more than that given the pace. So cars now coming through the Tamburello sequence down towards Villeneuve, and number 93 going through the shot. That is Gregoire Saucy, the Swiss driver. Number 1 then, distinctive livery, the Renault Sport colours, because he is part of the Renault Sport Academy, Caio Collet. Last year, Victor Martins was part of that and ran in the same colour scheme, but he's no longer part of the Renault Sport Academy, and eager to prove that he is still as good a driver. Victor Martins lining up on the 3rd row of the grid, the former French gymnastics champion, number 92. And will be one to watch in this race for sure. The car's coming over the brow through the Pelotella here down to the famous Acqua Minerale, although reprofiled over the years. Of course, Imola set to be, after a long absence, a Grand Prix venue once more this year, as the calendar changes almost on a weekly basis, with more circuits and countries being added to the calendar. And Imola not only welcoming a Grand Prix therefore, but also saying we'd like to be a permanent part of the calendar, please. And it would be fantastic to see Formula 1 cars around here, no question. A good old school circuit, limited runoff in places. This is a section of the circuit that caught out Caio Collet in qualifying this morning. He rattled it over the curb quite spectacularly at the very end. Do that in the race, you're going to be in all sorts of strife, and do it regularly as well, because the cars are not terribly keen on all the abuse that those sausage curbs will give them. You come down to Rivazza, round the crest, down the hill, and Rivazza itself has 2 elements. That's the first, and then the other left-hander brings you onto the pit straight. Years ago there was a chicane there, of course, where Rubens Barrichello had his accident in 1994, but that's gone, so it's a very long fast blast up past the pits. And there William Alatallo will line up on pole position. It's 4.909 kilometres long, Imola, and it's counterclockwise, so of course the first curve a left-hander, and slotting into position at the front very shortly will be the Finn. Car will line up ready for this 30-minute race. There are others to keep an eye to, certainly, who've qualified a little bit further back, amongst them Paul Aron and Hugo de Wilde. It was right at the very end that David Vidales went up to initially pole and then was almost instantly beaten by William Alatallo. So Caio Collet looked as though he'd done the job, and then as the last couple of cars came through to take the checkered flag, 2 more times were found in the system. Bang, up onto the front row they both went, the JD Motorsport cars, a team that's had great success in junior single-seater racing over the years. So there is the grid, everybody slotting into place. It's a long drag out of that last corner up to the timing line. There it is, and so everybody is now good to go. The blue-nosed car of William Alatallo then lining up on pole position. And at the very back, you've got another of the Renault Sport Academy liveried cars into position, that being in the hands of Hadrian David. So that's another car to keep an eye on. Number 17, the black and yellow Renault colours of the driver that was the winner of last year's French F4 Championship. Right, the red lights are about to go out. Race 4 of the year is go in Formula Renault Eurocup. Like yesterday, 1 or 2 bogged down on the grid. The yellow flags fly to warn those behind. Everybody, I think, has got through the dramas safely. 1 slow car staggers away now as they go down to the Tamburello for the first time. And it is David Vidales then from second on the grid who's made the better start. He leads. Second is William Alatallo. And then a good start by Alex Quinn, the British driver, the first of the 2 Brits. He's gone third. Fourth, losing a spot then off the line, Caio Collet, as they come down towards Villeneuve for the first time. So David Vidales has done what he did yesterday. He has got the drop, he's got the lead. He was brilliant yesterday on cold tyres, building a gap. Today he's having to do this from second on the grid as there round the outside goes number 91. That is Paul Aron trying to make up ground going through Tosa. Does he do it? Not there, he doesn't, as they rise the hill now towards Pelotella for the first time. Gregoire Saucy, who was off the road yesterday, I think was the one that made the duff start today, because he was 9th on the grid and he's running down in 19th place. We should have had 20 cars, so is there one missing? We'll check in a moment as the field dropped down now through the Acqua Minerale. There goes 71. That is the car of Amaury Cordil. So David Vidales leads the way, and is he going to be able to build on that advantage as they come now through the Variante Alta for the first time? Well, Vidales is being given a hard time by Alatallo. 1 car goes straight on and across the escape road there. It's one of the Bitec trio, so either Mario Angeli or Lorenzo Colombo looking at where they were in the order. Downhill into now the right-hander of Rivazza, and then the cars will power their way up towards the completion of lap number 1. I think the one that didn't start was Michael Belov, in the M2 competition car that would have been on the back of the grid. Up towards the timing line then they come, and through will be David Vidales with an advantage at the end of lap 1 of 0.284 of a second. Bit of crowding going on there as Hugo de Wilde tries to get up alongside Franco Colapinto. Has he gone by as they head down towards Tamburello? Not quite, they're still side by side. Look, de Wilde with the white band across the front, gets forced out wide over the grass, loses 2 places potentially. No, still fighting as he gets back on the road. He's lost 1, but it could have been 2. Just about got away with that, as there you see Caio Collet coming under attack now from Victor Martins. Victor very keen to beat the incumbent of the Renault Sport Academy, given that he is no longer part of that programme, as they come now through Tosa. Behind Martins is Paul Ara and his teammate. Those drivers running for ART Grand Prix, same colour scheme, but it's every man for himself, even though it's the same squad. And look further back there, Colapinto under attack now from Petr Potacek. Hugo de Wilde dropping back into 9th place. Jonathan Hugard 10th, going much better than yesterday when he had dramas. Helped in part, of course, by a bit more seat time in the car. It's a very late deal, only came about this week because Jonathan's Carrera Cup Asia programme is very much on hold now. But he's come back to single-seater racing. Jonathan won the BRDC Esports Championship with ISO during the lockdown period, proving that he's as good in sim racing as he is in real-world racing. Out of the Variante Alta come the race leaders. Clock ticks on down. Remember, it's 30 minutes, and then there's the regulation lap tagged on at the end. So the field plunging downhill now. There is Colapinto. Franco Colapinto, winner at Monza, chased by Petr Potacek here. Further back, you see the yellow and black car, 14th of Hadrien David, last year's F4 champion, French F4 champion, coming up towards the timing line there, going through the shot. And Michael Belov has joined in, but late from the pits, so he's on track. So we've got the full quota of 20 cars now. Leaders go by, with Vidales now clear by 0.4 of a second. There he is, William Alatallo shadowing him in 2nd place. 3rd is Alex Quinn, doing a very good job ahead of this battle that's shaping up now between Caio Collet and Victor Martins. Coming down towards Villeneuve. In the background, you've got Hadrien David just being able to keep at bay there. Look, number 12, which is the car of Joey Alders, his teammate indeed at MP Motorsport. Joey Alders had problems yesterday, started at the back of the grid, didn't qualify brilliantly today either. He's gained a couple of places from where he qualified to get him up into 15th place. As they're going through is Victor Martins, number 92 then. So a mainstay of Formula Renault over the last few seasons has been Martins. Comes down through the Acqua Minerale. He was the runner-up in the championship last year, was Victor, with 6 race wins in total. So you rule him out at your peril. He's got the experience of the cars, but he's being shown the way by the 2 rookies here. Vidales and Alatallo for JD Motorsport. Indeed, Alex Quinn is another rookie entrant. So you've got the rookie drivers 1, 2 and 3, and then the experienced drivers 4th and 5th, Collet and Martins. There they are, dropped down through Rivazza. Martins being caught by Paul Aron. They're in 6th place. Colapinto is 7th from Potacek, de Wilde and Cordial. Their number 2 through is Jonathan Hugard, and he's about to try to break into the top 10 here and get some points out of the race, because Cordial, just up ahead of him, is under attack now as they come up towards the line. The FA racing car, the Fernando Alonso team, is that of Cordial, and it's about to have to be made a bit wider. Another challenge being made lower down also, because Reshad De Guerras coming up to have a go at Joey Alders as they went over the line. So there's 24 minutes remain on the clock. There is Alders. Behind him is Reshad De Guerras, who stalled on the grid yesterday and lost a lot of ground really before the race had got underway. So down they come towards Villeneuve. Behind the pair of them, it is Gregoire Saucy recovering after his duff start. And then Marian Angeli and Laszlo Toth with the delayed Michael Belov, who's now had 2 pit stops. He's 2 laps behind, clearly still troubled, rounding out the 20 that started the race. So David Vidales leads the way, and another mighty impressive drive being turned in here. Hard on the brakes, down through the Acqua Minerale comes Caio Collet. Behind him, you've got the car of Victor Martins. Is he near enough to have a go? It is not easy to overtake around here, and of course these cars with slicks and wings have the perennial problems. You get close to the car ahead, you run in the dirty air, so you need to try and force a mistake out of the driver ahead. And Caio Collet doesn't make many of them. Made one in qualifying this morning, right at the very end, which was in part why his last lap was no quicker. We've got a yellow flag out somewhere, and that's the reason. It's that Potacek that has stopped. Looks like it's one of the R-Race GP cars. So Petr Potacek it is out of the race, and the safety car hastily deployed. So the safety car goes out on track. Of course, one of the problems that we have in any form of motorsport at the moment, no matter what country, is that there are reduced people allowed on site, which of course also impacts on the number of marshals, which therefore means that some situations that maybe half a dozen people could shift, well, it becomes different when you've only got a couple, and therefore we have to neutralise the race. So out comes the safety car, and the field will all bunch up behind, and any gaps that you had been able to build up soon disappear. So there is the race leader, David Vidales, going through, with William Alatalo tucked up behind, Alex Quinn third. Now this brings Caio Collet, Victor Martins and Paul Aron as 4th, 5th, 6th back into the mix. And remember that all of these laps count, of course, within the time. So this eats into the 30 minutes, but like yesterday, we had a safety car period much earlier, in fact, than yesterday. Petr Potacek, quirkily, was the first trigger yesterday when he went into the gravel. Looked, though, as though the car might have pulled off rather than spun off, but we'll try and get to the bottom of that. So this is the run up towards Tosa, and then the climb up the hill. That's Potacek's car. You can just see the wheels hidden behind the totem pole. There it is. But by the look of it, was there contact possibly, which is why it's ended up on the outside of the road. It's that front right corner looking a bit deranged, possibly. Either way, Potacek is done, and his race at an end. He just done a personal best in the first sector on the lap on which he retired from the race, so the pace was there, suggesting it was more an incident than mechanical after all. Vidales is ahead of Alatalo. There is Quinn for 3rd, Collet 4th, Martins 5th, and Paul Aron in 6th place. Colapinto is 7th. Franco Colapinto, part of the Bullet Sports Management Group that's run by FIA GT champion Jamie Campbell-Walter and Nicolas Manassion. They're going up the hill in a moment. Number 51 is the Bitec car of Ashlo Toff. Work to do from near the rear of the pack. So there you can see who the movers have been. A couple of places gained by Paul Aron. Victor Martins 5th on the grid, staying 5th. Amaury Cordial has had a good run, getting himself up to 9th, 6 places gained. And here the field now heading downhill. So Vidales eager to break away if he can on the restart, and the gap that he had over William Alatalo was never really a large one, but he's going to have to redo it all over again, isn't he, when we go racing once more. Impressive number of rookies coming into the season for 2020, and again, as it's the common problem for any motorsport championship, drivers' plans changing as the financial situation around the world changes, but it's still a good, healthy grid for this championship. The Eurocup last here back in 2004, and after the 2 races that weekend that went the way of Pascal Cockham and Scott Speed, it was a win apiece for Jensen and Moto Park. Safety car will be in this lap. The championship, as I say, is already raced at Monza. It's got Nürburgring and Manicourt, Zandvoort and Barcelona, Spa, Hockenheim, Paul Ricard and Abu Dhabi to go. So it's a championship that tries to visit as many Formula One circuits, giving the drivers relevant experience. There, David Vidales now will have got the message about the safety car. The lights go out, and that's the indication that they will peel in this time. The lights will be extinguished in the final part of the lap, and then David Vidales weaving around there, getting the tyres back up to temperature, getting the pressures up as well. We'll dive for the pit lane, and we'll be ready to go. It will not dive for the pit lane, I'll tell you a lie. The safety car will dive for the pit lane. David Vidales will press on and try and build that gap over William Alatalo, and you've got Alex Quinn there in 3rd. Vidales is bunching them up very, very early on this lap, and of course the element of this is that once you accelerate, you can't go and slow, you've got to keep accelerating, so bunching them up too soon when the safety car is still quite close up the road, not necessarily the best idea. So we're told it's going to be in this time. Everybody's still weaving, the lights are still on, so it is common for them to go out at the end of the lap. The teams hopefully will be getting the message across to drivers anyway, saying be prepared to go racing this time. And as they come out to the Variante Alta, 18 minutes on the clock. Lights are out, confirmed. So we go back racing this time. Poor old Petr Potacek's had a miserable weekend, 2 retirements, and twice been the cause of bringing out the safety car. So there you've got the leader, heading over the brow, down towards Rivazza. And the rest of the field almost tripping over themselves, so bunched up are they. But now Vidal is having slowed enough to let the safety car get well clear, picks up the pace, starts to accelerate away. And the Spanish karting champion is already 2 lengths up on William Alatalo as they come out of Rivazza. Then up now towards the timing line. We're back in business with still half the race plus a lap to run over the line. There's the green flag being waved, and past the pits they storm. So Vidal is up front. William Alatalo running in second place. Alex Quinn going with him. And again, Kyle Collett, who admitted after yesterday's race that he just did not have the pace of the JD Motorsport cars. His R-Ace GP entry drops back again, even on the restart. But interestingly, Alex Quinn, for the moment at least, is staying with those ahead of him. So through Villeneuve they come. And look, Collett having to go defensive to keep Martins and Aron, and also Colapinto at bay is losing touch just a little with those ahead of him as they come through Tosa, ready to climb the hill. But look, the leader, David Vidal, is already away, just as we saw early on. He's so good, either from a standing start or a restart. Even if the temperature's not there in the tyres, he's able to drive around that, and he's doing a very good job. Big difference coming out of karting into these with all the aero and the downforce that they have, but Vidal is taking to it like the proverbial duck does to water. He leads already by half a second as they come down through the Acqua Minerale. There, number 91 through is Paul Aron, who climbs the hill. You can see they're all pressing on here, eager to see what they can do with the field all bunched up once again. This is your golden chance to try and gain some places. Over the curves they turn, ready now to blast downhill. There is the championship leader Kyle Collett, but with another win here, David Vidal is going to put himself very much in contention. I know it's early days to be talking about this, but bear in mind he wasn't even at the first 2 races. He's going to potentially leave here with 50 points and be a real threat for the title honours. The field comes pouring over the line now then, so Vidal goes through ahead of Alatalo in second place. Alex Quinn, the underrated British driver, there in third position. He's dropping away just a little now from Alatalo. That gap has widened ever so slightly as they come by. Then fourth remains Collett, fifth is Martin, sixth is Aron ahead of Colapinto, De Wilde, Cordial and Hogarth. And there is a change, because through goes Victor Martins going into Tamburello, puts himself ahead of number 1 Kyle Collett. That'll be a pretty sweet pass that for Victor Martins, but Collett is on his toes and he tries to come back here. Kyle Collett comes back on the outside line, down now to Villeneuve, right there behind him, and also looking to capitalise is Paul Aron. There's a whole queue of cars right there behind, so Victor Martins has gone through, and straight away will try and gap the Brazilian driver behind him as they climb the hill. Martins might now be a little bit too far back, even with 15 minutes to go, to do much about gaining more places out of this, but he's going to push, that's for sure. Number Cordial, number 71, also on the attack against Hugo de Wilde. Downhill, you've got the Cara Vanderhelm there, the multicoloured FA Racing entry. Having to go Jonathan Hogarth, who gets forced off the road, runs way wide, and that, I'm afraid, he's going to drop Jonathan a long way down the order. He skips back onto the circuit, but that will put him, I suspect, down in about 15th place. Out of the Variante Alta they come. The race leaders then now ready to drop downhill once again, with Victor Martins setting off in pursuit of Alex Quinn. You can see he has just edged away slightly from the Kyle Collett R-Ace GP car behind him, so that gap up a couple of lengths. 53 diving down towards Rivazza. There was Lorenzo Colombo, and off the road goes Jonathan Hogarth. It is not his lap, is it? Qualified well, first part of the race was good, but that slip at Acqua Minerale is, I'm afraid, added to by another off at Rivazza. That's going to put him into last place, I'm afraid to say. So all the promise of qualifying comes to naught. What we did see last year in British Formula 3 was how good an overtaker Jonathan is, but I rather fear we're not going to get a chance to see that now. He's got gravel all over his tyres, and those 2 mistakes will certainly have dented confidence as well. Out of Tamburello, they pour once again. Now, Alex Quinn is on a mission. He's just done the absolute best in the first sector in his efforts now to get onto terms with everybody else up front, and those everybody else are Alatalo and Vidales. There's William Alatalo through in second place. But David Vidal is the race leader. A last-minute addition to the championship. He was planning to race in the Formula Regional European Championship with the US racing squad. Change of plan, joins the Eurocup, and here he is looking for 2 wins out of 2 races this weekend. William Alatallo now looking as though he's going to have to content himself with that second place, because he is dropping away. So the cars now head towards the Variante Alta. Rattling over the curve there as well is the car of Franco Colapinto. So Colapinto drops downhill. The Argentine driver for MP Motorsport, Dutch team, comes now through the first part of Ravazza as the Dutch driver Thymen van der Helm, another of the rookies, and his next target is Amaury Cordeel, indeed his teammate, as they come up towards the line. 9th and 10th, those 2 FA Racing cars. So 12 minutes on the clock, plus the regulation lap at the end. Alex Quinn, who had a podium finish at Monza, staying in that 3rd place, and his last lap was a 1:41.8, so slightly quicker than William Alatallo. The gap therefore just a little bit down between 2nd and 3rd. They're going through is Hugo de Wilde, 8th he is, the son of an Ultra Motorsport journalist, so there's no shortage of coverage back home for Hugo. He's got an Italian mum, just to add a link to Imola for him. Out of Villeneuve goes lower down, 93 Gregoire Saucy, as he chases after Rachid de Geras. And now the race leaders make the climb once more up towards Pilatella. So yesterday it was Vidales from Alatallo, but Caio Collet today down in 5th place. I just wonder whether he might lose any more ground before the end, because Paul Aron is still chasing. There he is, and you can see that he's not given up far from it. That's only 3 or 4 lengths, that margin between the 2 of them. So now into the Variante Alta goes 92 Victor Martins, Caio Collet there, and in fact others doing it as well. A big clobber of the curve as they come into the first part, that right-handed element. Drivers flick their way through and now plunge downhill, with just approaching the last third of the timed part of the race still to go. So the race leaders now over the timing line. Vidales from Alatallo to as ever thus. The gap up to a 2.5 seconds. Alex Quinn 3rd. And then it's a big margin to Martins. But look at the way he's cleared off away from Caio Collet. That's a big margin now, 4th and 5th, especially given the way that Martins had to work hard to get past Collet. There he is. So the championship leader coming into this race, still scoring, but he's not going to score as well as he wants to, that's for sure. 6th is Paul Aron, 7th Colapinto, 8th de Wilde, 9th Cordeel, and 10th Van der Helm. And Lorenzo Colombo, who, as I said early on, was a driver that raced in this championship last year, and you would have anticipated would have had good pace, really struggling. He's the first of those outside the points. He had 3 wins on his way to 4th in the championship last year, but the Bitec driver is, despite his good karting pedigree, not being able to translate last year's pace across this season, it seems. He's on the back of Van der Helm. There, look, the Mont Blanc backed car of Lorenzo Colombo, ready to drop downhill, but even if he gets past, it will only net him 1 point for 10th place. So there is the Bitec car. Uphill goes Colombo. Bitec, the team of Ferdinando and Giancarlo Bada, started back in 2011, initially running GT cars before it came into single-seater racing. But the race leader comes now up towards the timing line. So David Vidal is here for JD Motorsport, overall race leader, leading rookie, and for the 2nd time this weekend, just looking mighty. Dare one say a star is born. Yesterday's race was very impressive, but one wondered whether it was just a blip or a one-off, or definitely not. After the performance today, you've got a real talent here to enjoy watching in Formula Renault Eurocup this year. And David Vidales goes by now 1.6 seconds to the good. 8 3/4 minutes on the clock, plus the regulation lap to go on at the end. So there is the fight to be 10th. Still just at the head of that little battle is the FA racing car of Thymen van der Helm. But Lorenzo Colombo right on his tail now as they turn their way into Tosa. Through the Pelotello goes Vidal, is the race leader, but the gap second and third look a little bit less. There's Alex Quinn, the British driver, in third. So the Arden car inching up onto the back of William Alatallo's JD Motorsport car for second spot. Now, could there be a change? Let's see. They go through the double apex right. They make the climb up the hill. And with 8 minutes still to run, plus a lap, Quinn could yet gain one more place out of this. Alex was fifth yesterday, so making good progress. Jonathan Hoggard, incidentally, still circulating despite his earlier woes. And there is Alex Quinn upholding British honour in third spot as he comes down to Rivazza this time. Victor Martins is behind him, but is he going to be able to close? Well, in the first sector he was slightly quicker. In the second sector he was fractionally slower, so there's not really much gained nor lost across the course of the lap. Over the line goes Vidales. Alatallo goes through second. It's Quinn in third. And 1.6 seconds being the margin between the top two. Victor Martins, a personal best and an absolute best in sectors on that last lap, suggesting that he is still being able to push these Hankook tyres, giving plenty of life even at the end of the race. So that's the battle pack for second. 7/10 the margin. Alex Quinn just doing the absolute best in the first sector. Now, granted, the first sector takes you from the timing line to the timing points coming into the Tamburello, but bear in mind also that a lot of that pace that you carry into sector one is from the long run out of Rivazza at the end of the previous lap. So you get a good third sector on the previous lap, you'll carry that onto a good first sector of the next one. Down into the Pelotello comes number 92 there. That is Victor Martins, still fourth, and not seemingly for the moment gaining on Quinn. 6.5 minutes to go. I don't think he's going to get there in time, but Alex has not given up in his quest to get onto the back of William Alatallo's car. Trouble is, even if he gets there, overtaking is not an easy prospect for him, that's for sure. So as they come now over the curve, back onto the power. 91 goes through, Paul Aaron. Down the hill into the double apex left of Rivazza goes Caio Collet. Now, is he going to be able to hang on to fifth place? He's got Paul Aaron close, but again, the closer Aaron gets, the more his aero is going to be affected by the dirty airflow created by the car ahead, so he's going to end up going slower and have to drop back a little bit. So again, it's the usual problem in single-seater racing with wings. You need to try and force an error and capitalise upon that in order to gain the place, which is partly why it was a good pass by Martins on Collet. Otherwise, you need to try and get a tow if the slipstream effect just about works on the length of that section going past the pits into Tamburello. The move needs to start really at Rivazza, therefore, on the previous lap. As you look at the three race leaders, 5 minutes plus a lap still to go into the left-hander of Tosa. They turn up the hill here. Vidales, Alatallo, Quinn, 1, 2, 3 in the order. Martins fourth, Collet fifth, Aaron sixth, ahead of Colapinto, De Wilde, Cordial and Van der Helm, still keeping Lorenzo Colombo at bay. Very frustrated last is Joey Alders. His MP Motorsport car has just not performed this weekend. The Dutch driver, the current Asian Formula 3 Winter Series champion, is a talented driver, but has had a lamentable weekend here. Vidales, though, to Alatallo, setting off down the hill. 1.3 seconds between them, and Alex Quinn 8/10 adrift. He's dropped back a little bit as well here. So the race leaders, 4 more minutes to go. There you look at the Arden car of Hugo de Wilde. His father Olivier, prolific Belgian motorsport journalist and press officer, and Hugo de Wilde comes up to break the timing beam now in 8th place, but struggling to make ground forward, it seems. He had that win in the opening race at Monza a year ago. Never, I'm afraid to say, was able to go as well again. There is number 11 of Franco Colapinto, this year's opening race winner at Monza and since then also has been unable to replicate it. He was third in the second race. Yesterday he was sixth, and Colapinto today is seventh. So one hopes it's not a continuing downward spiral, and he will bounce back next time out, which will be in early September at the Nürburgring. So there you've got number 38 heading through the Carutella left-hander. That's William Alatallo in second spot. Kayakore a long way adrift, and behind him is Aaron coming under attack from Colapinto. The gap is down a little bit. Now Colapinto might have left this a bit too late. He's having a go way over the curve. They both go. Colapinto is the more sideways of the two. So Aaron really throwing everything at this to keep ahead. Colapinto throwing everything at it to try and bring down the gap and get close enough to have an attack. But for a moment there, the car of Colapinto might just have broken away from him. He was able to correct it. Down through Rivatsa they come. A bit more abuse being given to the cars now as the race wears on, as they accelerate their way out of Rivatsa, heading up towards the timing line here now. So over the line they come, and there, Kayakole, is he going to be able to maintain the championship lead at the end of the weekend? Well, David Vidal is certainly going to be in the mix, that is for certain. And Franco Colapinto, who came into this race 10 points back, having been equal with Collet yesterday, dropping further away in the title race. Now looking at the clock, they'll get this lap and one more out of the time, and then the regulation lap itself. So this and two more laps is the prediction, as the cars now head once again down into Tosa. Seasoned single-seater watchers might consider here that Vidal looks like he's quite good. Understatement of the weekend. He is absolutely supreme, isn't he? He has done a quite outstanding job this weekend, with pole position, a win, and the fastest lap yesterday. Okay, missed out on pole just today, but the win is definitely heading his way, and I think fastest lap is heading in the direction of David Vidal as well. So yes, going to be fascinating to see in a month's time at the Nürburgring what he can do in the next brace of races in the championship. So down the hill comes Vidales, his teammate William Alatallo. JD has found the setup this weekend, hasn't it? It's unlocked something, because yes, Vidales has looked mighty impressive, no argument about that, but equally Alatallo has not been hanging about. So JD Motorsport, this team of Roberto Cavallari and Alfredo Capelletti, the team had 4 consecutive drivers' championships, in fact. JD Motorsport from 96 to 99. It is one of the top teams. And this weekend, perhaps it's the Italian influence, the Imola knowledge of exactly what to do in a car. They have provided 2 good drivers with 2 great chassis. So the clock will hit 0 on this lap, and then we'll have the regulation lap at the very end. As you see there, the fight still raging on. Alex Quinn keeping Victor Martins at bay, but the gap has come down, so it's down to half a second. I don't think Martins is going to be able to have a proper go before the very end, but in fairness, it is not for want of trying, is it? Alex Quinn through third, Martins fourth, 1 lap to run at the end of this. So if Martins is really committed and can really apply the pressure, he might be able to force a way by. Into the Acqua Minerale comes then number 92. Victor Martins rides the curb on exit. David Vidal is still clear in the lead. William Alatallo looking as though he's going to go one better than yesterday. Kayakole only down in 5th. We'll have a bit of a thought to at the end of it. You saw a slide out of Alex Quinn though as he went into the Variante Alta, and the gap's come down by another length. So Victor Martins is hustling on. Can he get near enough? Let's see as they come now down towards Rivatsa this time. Through the left-hander of the second element, up towards the line, and now to start the last lap. So David Vidales will go by, clear up front. And as he goes over the line to start the last lap of the race, the margin 1.8 seconds. Now for third, Victor Martins, remember, dived through on the inside of Tamburello when he got past Collar. Is he close enough to have a go? Nearly. Just another length perhaps to be gained there, but he's giving very energetic chase now to Alex Quinn. and he's all over the back of him. Can he force a mistake out of the British driver? He's got the pace, he's done the catching. Can he find a gap? Quinn defends into Villeneuve then, less than a lap to go. Up towards Tosa. Quinn tries to claim the inside line. Martins thinks about it, goes to the outside. Can he get the undercut coming out of the corner? Again, he tries to tighten the line, but he can't power up the hill quicker than Quinn can. Connor is there in 5th place as they press the rise now. Victor Martins comes into Piratella. There's no opportunity to dive up the inside there. It was at the Variante Alta a lap ago that Quinn got just ever so slightly sideways and lost a little bit of ground. Is the same thing going to happen again here? He doesn't need reminding that Martins is right behind him. He's absolutely filling his mirrors. Martins with a better exit there, quicker up the hill, closing all the time. Can he think about a move at the Variante Alta? Well, you've got to be really bold to do it there, because it's so narrow, really, and the cars tend to try and straight line the chicane as best they can. They're both error-free, so it's going to have to be really on the drag up to the line, I suspect, if he can't dive through at Ribazza. So put the pressure on, see if you can force him out wide here. Is there a gap on the inside? No, Quinn covers that off. Martins again will try and get the undercut for the second part of the corner, but I don't think Quinn's going to leave the door open for him. No, he's not, as David Vidales has the absolute dream weekend. Car racing debut, 2 victories and his maiden weekend in the championship. David Vidales wins at Imola. Second is William Alatallo, who comes through in 2nd spot. Third goes the way just of Alex Quinn from Victor Martins and Caio Colle. Next, with the top 6 rounded out by Paul Aron. 7th goes the way of Franco Colapinto. In 8th place, it is Hugo de Wilde. 9th to Tymon van der Helm, and then Amaury Cordeel in 10th spot. Therefore, the last driver to score a point. But David Vidal is just so impressive across this weekend. Really good job done. And David Vidal is, I think we'll be hearing a lot more about. That's been, as I keep saying, a hugely impressive weekend. And even though he might not have got pole position for that race, you don't get a point for it, you get pride. But he has once again looked so good at the start of the race on the cold tyres. So qualify well, and he's seemingly unstoppable. He blasted away. Really good job done there. So David Vidal is the winner of race 2 this weekend from William Alatallo. Third going the way of Alex Quinn ahead of Victor Martins in 4th place. 5th is Caio Colle. 6th goes the way of Paul Aron from Franco Colapinto, and then it is Hugo de Wilde in 8th place. 9th goes the way of Tymon van der Helm ahead of Amaury Cordeel. Lorenzo Colombo out of the points in 11th from Adrien David and Gregoire Saucy. Nicola Marinangeli 14th from Richard de Geras and Laszlo Toth, with Joey Alders 17th and Jonathan Huggard in the end retiring to the pit lane. Petra Potacek a retirement in the gravel, and Michal Belov a retirement as well with mechanical woes. Replay of the highlights of that race with Gregoire Saucy not getting off the line, so being way back as the cars dive down towards Tamburello for the first time. But it was that demon start made by David Vidales, even though he was a length back, that put him up front. Off the road early on went the Vitek car of Nicola Marinangeli. We had Hugo de Wilde taking to the dirt, losing ground as a consequence, and he ultimately finished in 8th place. And that was the end of Petra Potacek. The car peeling off the road and bringing out the safety car. Race back underway with David Vidales being able to, again, pull clear while Victor Martins dived through on the inside, going into the Tamburello chicane, getting himself ahead of Caio Colle. As lower down the order, Jonathan Huggard ran out of road at the Acqua Minerale, and a further error later in the lap down at Ribazza cost him effectively the race, because the tyres were done, damaged the underfloor of the car, and ultimately retired to the pit lane. Frustrating weekend for him. He wasn't the only one in strife though. Joey Alders' miserable weekend got no better. He had a rallycross moment at Tamburello as well. And then the battle for 3rd place became all about Quinn and Martins on the last lap of the race. But David Vidal is unstoppable. Through he came to score a race victory. Checkered flag waved. 2.4 seconds the winning margin, and 2 out of 2 at Imola for David Vidal is mightily impressive this weekend. So out of the car he goes to say thank you and to congratulate the JD team, all of course with the masks as is required. David Vidal is celebrating a very impressive weekend first time out. More elbow bumping goes on at Arden as Alex Quinn celebrates that third place. And William Alatello, as well as the Renault Sport technical team, go about the work of checking the cars, but also weighing the drivers. And then they will go to the interview and photograph area. But that is a car that everybody has had to take notice of this weekend. The car of David Vidales, with 2 race victories over the course of a hugely impressive debut in the championship. So the next stop, Nürburgring, first weekend of September for Eurocup Formula Renault. Followed by Magny-Cours, Zandvoort, Barcelona, Spa, Hockenheim, Paul Ricard and Abu Dhabi. So the Imola circuit welcoming back Formula Renault Eurocup for the first time since 2004 has certainly delivered some spectacular racing and has certainly been an impressive place for David Vidales to make his debut. And we hope that we have more international GT racing and its support programme here in the future. There is the winning car being pushed back up the pit lane. David Vidales with the JD Motorsport squad. Perfect combination this weekend, and the mechanics there taking that into the presentation, into the scrutineering area, I should say, at the end of a great drive by David Vidales here at Imola this weekend.
David, your debut weekend in car racing, and what a weekend it's been. A fantastic result for you there.
Yeah, fantastic result. It couldn't have been better. Really happy with the race. The pace was fantastic. After the safety car, still we managed to make a gap. So everything was really good today. The car was fantastic. So a big thank you to the team for all the work that they have done. And now just keep learning and keep pushing.
Congratulations once again. Thank you, David.
Thank you.
William Alatello's second place. Another good haul of points for him. So William's not yet winning races, but he is adding to his points tally. Didn't score in the first race at Monza, but William Alatello having a good second place here at Imola.
William, you started the race on pole. It was a tough start for you, but certainly to pull through in second, and you put a great battle in.
Yeah, exactly. I had not a good start. It was just some wheel spin on the start and didn't work out. And I'm kind of disappointed because I could have been P1, but at least P2, it's a good effort for the whole team, but I didn't have a good start, so that's why.
Well, it was a great race, and the team certainly seemed to have the setup on point.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, the team worked perfectly the whole weekend, and I'm really happy to work with them for that. But just I have to, on my own side, just have the start better.
Thank you very much, William.
Thank you.
So William Alatello's second spot today, and Alex Quinn, the third placed driver, all of whom, of course, those 3 drivers are rookies. Alex Quinn, the Brit, in third place with Gemma Scott.
Alex, you were certainly pushing hard throughout the entire race. That was a tough one.
Yeah, it was a tough one. I mean, we've just improved all weekend, and obviously in the last race there, I felt really good in the car. I was right on the JD boys, who have been very quick this weekend for most of the race, but then just the tyres went off a little bit and had to work as hard as I could to keep Victor behind. And yeah, other than that, I mean, it was a great race because, you know, on the podium, so very happy.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Alex.
Thank you.
So 2 great races, and dare one say a star is born. David Vidales is the dominant driver, 2 out of 2 at Imola in Formula Renault Eurocup. Join us next time from the Nürburgring for more of the same, perhaps. From David Addison here, goodbye.